with a wave of the hat. Mr. Ash says, get on the ball, Bill and Judy. You're on. It's Viewpoint.
And here we are.
96.3 out here in the country. Program, Personalities and Perspectives.
Well, we're going to get a perspective this morning.
And Mrs. Busby?
Remember last year we talked, I think it was last year, Don, yes. We talked about radon and the need for the radon detectors in your home, just like you have smoke detectors. You should have a radon detector. Now, he's gotten a grant and is able to make those available to the public at a lesser cost, and we're going to be talking about that with Don Cavi. He is what?
I want to know where we're getting this money.
Oh, well, that is really a very good question.
I interrupted your introduction of Don. Please go ahead.
No, but listen, that was an important question. Everybody's broke. They all want more money, more money, more money, more money from us taxpayers at every level. Where the heck did you get the money?
Well, we're fortunate. We've teamed up with the Illinois Emergency Management Agency,
yeah.
And they have a grant, a radon grant program. And through that grant program, we were able to get money to purchase test kits for the public. And so thanks to the Illinois Emergency Management Agency, we're able to do that.
Let's talk a little bit about radon, how it seeps into your house, and what it will do to you if, in fact, it seeps in.
Well, radon is it's naturally occurring. It's comes from the breakdown of uranium in the soil, and it can get into any house. And the thing people think is, well, you know, my neighbor had their house tested for radon, and their house tested at an acceptable level, so that means my house doesn't have radon, which is not true. Any house can have radon. Radon, basically what it does is it seeps into the foundation and through cracks in the house, gets into the house, and it forms a radon gas that when people breathe in, these particles can get in their lungs and cause tissue damage, which could lead to lung cancer.
That's what Al Gore says.
Yeah, and
among other things.
And a lot of people may not realize, but it is the leading cause of cancer amongst non-smokers.
That's serious, yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Now, you said it's uranium in the soil?
Yes.
Well, would this radon then be more prevalent in the areas where they have the disposal sites?
No, really, it's prevalent throughout the Midwest. It's prevalent throughout the country. Illinois is one of, well, let's just say this. There are several, I want to say more than several counties, but about half of the state of Illinois is considered a Class 1 or a high risk for radon, and including Logan County.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
You always seem to get on the good list.
Yeah, the EPA calls it their zone of highest potential.
I'm going to tell Gene I'm not going to the basement anymore then.
There you go.
So we are, you know, so really you can't say it just occurs in those areas, but it is pretty widespread. I mean, it could be anywhere throughout the country, but Illinois and Logan County happens to be, you know, a Zone 1 area. So
at one time, I understood that we, right here, were one of the highest cancer risk areas in the country, period, across the board, any cancer.
Yeah, and I don't have that data. I'd have to do some. I'd have to go through the CDC or do some research on that. I really don't know. I've had people come to me about certain communities and say, "Well, we have a higher cancer rate here, don't we?" And I would research it, and I'd find out that it's really no different than other places. But I really can't answer that question because that would take some more, you know, medical research. So the thing is, it does occur, though. We know that.
I'd like to go back to the beginning, Don. When was this radon discovered, for want of a better word? When did we realize that this particular gas was out there and present?
The history goes back a long time. And I have to dig back into the history books to check on that. But I do know it's not something that recently just popped out of thin air. We've known about radon for decades. So, but
when was the detector itself then developed?
Well, again, I don't have the history on that. They've been around a while. I know that. But
Well,
I'll
I
tell
know
you
they
what,
were around last year because you
yes.
talked about them.
Oh yeah, and they've been around
Yeah.
10 years ago and beyond that.
What does it look like?
well-
Not the radon, because it's a gas. Can't see it.
Odorless, colorless,
detector.
and tasteless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it is odor, and that's a good point you bring up, Bill, because it is odorless, tasteless, and that's what's so dangerous about it. People just don't know it's in the house. The kit itself, they're very small. They're different types of kits. You've got long-term test kits, you've got short-term test kits. We have at the health department, it's just a small short-term test kit. It's probably about the size of a hockey puck. So they're very small, they're easy to use. You just set them out for a few days, and then usually your lowest level of the house that's regularly lived in, and then you let it sit, and then you just send that into a laboratory, and they'll analyze it. But you have to make sure the windows are closed and there's no fans blowing or anything like that.
So you'd be best off to do this test then in the winter?
Well, you could do it any time of the year if it's a lower level in the house, as long as there's no open windows. You just have to use some common sense as far as that goes. Winter time can be more of a concern because people's windows tend to stay closed. They do have a long-term test kit that you could keep out for it's more than 90 days, and that'll give you a better idea of throughout the course of the year what your radon levels are. But the ones we have are, they're just a simple short-term test kit. And, people can test it once in the summer, test it once in the winter, and look at the averages, and,
Now, you say that the lowest level of your home that you live in, okay? Well, I have at my house the Black Hole of Calcutta, which is our basement. And I spend an amount of time down there with the washing and the ironing and all the other fun things that can take place
You don't look very well.
in the Black Hole of Calcutta. But we don't live there. So if it's in the basement, if the radon's in the basement, it's in the whole house. So you should still put it in the basement, even if it is a place you just wash and iron?
I recommend if you test your basement, and for instance, a lot of families have kids that go downstairs. We've got a TV set down there. The kids will go down there, they'll watch TV or play video games or whatever. And I do test that area. We've had our house tested.
But you evidently have a room down there that you use.
Yeah, and a lot of people do, and that's an area I would consider definitely testing. And if the radon levels are at 4 picocuries or above, which is what the EPA considers the action level, it may be a good idea to test your first floor too, just to be on the safe side, to make sure that your radon levels on your first floor are below the action level.
Well, Don, it may be my myopic eyes or perhaps age-induced lack of attention, but I don't see, we have smoke detectors prevalent in all the major stores and so forth. I don't recall seeing a radon detector. Am I just not very attentive?
You can actually purchase them. I know I purchased them at a major chain store, and they do sell radon test kits. If you go to one of your big department stores or lumber stores, hardware stores, most of the big chains do carry test kits. The advantage we have at the health department is we were able to get them at a reduced cost through the Illinois Emergency Management Agency, so we're able to sell them for $5, which is great.
So you
It's
have
very
them
affordable.
available there at 3rd Street.
We do have them at the Logan County Department of Public Health for $5. Anybody wants to purchase a test kit, they could come in. We're open 7:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. Just stop
I
in
think
and
that's
purchase
an
a test
important thing
kit.
to note, because most of us, we kind of work in our little ethereal spirit world and kind of get wrapped up and don't pay attention to something that conceivably might have some deleterious effect on you if you have that present in your home.
Absolutely.
So for $5, you can decide whether you do or don't have a problem.
It's very easy to do, absolutely.
Now, if you have a problem, let's say that I put one in my basement and I spend some time down there, sorting pictures and doing some video work and that sort of thing. What do we next do if I find out that I have a higher than average level of radon in there?
Well, if you've confirmed it
Stay
by
out of there to start with.
Yeah, if you've confirmed it by testing, absolutely. That's one thing you can do. There are techniques that could be used to mitigate or reduce the amount of radon in a home.
For instance?
I would recommend, have somebody who has radon in their home at the above action level contact a mitigation contractor or somebody who specializes in the area of radon reduction, and they can come over to and do an assessment in the home. And there are ways they've got, they can either seal or they can put a vent fan type system in, which could eliminate or minimize the amount of radon in the home. I do want to say this: no amount of radon in a home is safe, but the EPA, they establish an action level of 4 pQs or greater. But a mitigation contractor, it's something you want to leave up to the professional to reduce the amount of radon in the home. But like I said, there are ways to do it. They can construct homes nowadays that are quote-unquote radon safe the way they're constructed, but still we would recommend for somebody to at least have that home tested just to be on the safe
I'll
side.
bet Irma Potter didn't know about radon when she was a county nurse. I can tell you that.
Probably
Now,
not.
those were the good days.
Yeah.
And she ran the show single-handedly, and very well, by the way.
Yeah.
And somebody had mumps or measles, sent George Seller out to put a tag on your door, and that was that. We didn't have a Oakland County Health Department then, brother.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Have a lot of other services, though. And you specifically wanted to talk about your new addition to dental clinic, Don.
Yeah, I just want to put a quick plug in. We do have a dental clinic at the health department, and anybody who needs dental care who is either on Medicaid, Medicare, are underinsured or uninsured can qualify, and they can call the health department at 735-2317 and find out if they qualify for dental care. We have a full-time dentist working at the health department. So
Is that right? You know, that escaped me. How long have you had that service?
this program started earlier this year. I want to say it was back around March, sometime around March or April.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember the specific date, but it's just brand new this year.
That is a wonderful service because that's long been a problem here, getting dental care without insurance.
Particularly those families with youngsters who really should have dental assistance and are just simply can't do it from an economic standpoint. So that's a magnificent thing for young people in particular.
Oh, sure. And being around public health, I've learned just from being around public health professionals that dental is one area that is greatly underserved in terms of public health. So we're just grateful that we have the program.
Well, there's also a program on the the partnership. Boy, I'll tell you, that one just
Testing.
went
Well, I can fill some space, and I know we just started our flu clinic too, and so if anybody's interested in flu shots, they can call the health department as well.
That's, by the way, a very quick operation. My experience, you go in there and they give them the necessary information.
Healthy Communities Partnership.
Health and community partnership. Glad you
It's
came
back.
around.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to throw that in.
Well, you reached out there and brought it back. Good for you. In any event, before I was properly
So rudely interrupted.
No, properly interrupted. The flu shot business is really very seamless. You go in there, and in a few short minutes, you're out of there.
Yeah, and I make a point every year myself to go in and get a flu shot. And it takes, you're right, it takes just a couple minutes. I'm in and out of there. So, and it's great. I mean, 5 minutes to protect yourself.
But
I
you
mean, it's
do
worth
want people to make an appointment for the flu shot, is that right? Or do you take walk-ins?
And again, that's not my area, but they can call the health department. I believe we do take walk-ins, but somebody may want to, probably better just to call ahead just to make sure.
735-2317 is the number there if you want to.
And it's a one-stop shop.
Speaking
if
of
they
numbers,
want to,
648-5510. In case anybody has questions of Don regarding the Logan County Health Department, it's not really a sleeper operation out there by any stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, a lot of people don't realize the scope of the activities out there on 3rd Street. You cover a lot of activities out there.
Yeah.
And you'll see approximately how many a day will you see out there, Don?
Oh, as far as the flu clinic goes, or well,
I mean, regular day in, day out services.
Well, I can speak on behalf of environmental health. We offer, we have the food protection program in the county, so we do all the food inspections. We license all the food facilities. the water wells that are put in and around the county, we issue permits to contractors to install those. We'll go out and a new well, we'll test it, we'll inspect it. And the same with on-site sewage disposal systems out in the rural areas. And, plus we've got West Nile virus that we're constantly reminding the public, protect yourself. Even with summer being almost over, the mosquitoes are still out there, and I still want to encourage people to wear protective clothing, wear mosquito repellent, and remove any standing water on your property where mosquitoes might breed, because, that's always been a concern of ours.
You reference the well inspections as being part of your department. Would you feel any upswing in that business, what with the fact that we've had no rain? Are people having any trouble with their wells?
And it's a good question, because there are times during dry seasons where people's wells will dry up. I haven't heard of too many. I think maybe one that I may have heard of this year that went dry. But knock on wood, this year I haven't had anybody call or complain about dry wells.
Is it possible that contamination would be more prevalent in a dry year like this? I mean, it's been dry, man.
Yeah. Well, in a water well, it's hard to say if that would occur, but as long as the well is soundly constructed, what I tell people, Judy, every year, if you have a private well, get it tested every year. People can come right into the health department. There's a $15 test kit that we sell. They can come right in, get the kit, go home, take their water sample, mail it right to the state lab. We'll get the results. We'll contact the homeowner, let them know how their water tests. But, really more the contamination issues are more of a concern with some of the older wells that maybe aren't constructed properly. So a lot of your newer wells are properly constructed. But contamination could be a possibility with any well. So people that own wells really need to take care of them.
Now, if a citizen builds a home out in the country and has to have their own source of water, and they dig their well, is it mandated that they have that tested, or is that just prudent and advisable to do so?
A new well, we're required as part of our licensing and inspecting process, when we close our file, we do have to get a water test. So we will come out to the home and collect the water sample. However, after that, after we get a good water sample and the homeowner has their well, it's really their responsibility to maintain that well. And that's why I always recommend to them, after we're done and we've okayed your well, it's good for you to go ahead and get your water tested every year.
I take it there's a permit required to drill a well then?
Correct. We issue the permits at the health department.
Well, that $15 fee for the test kit is pretty cheap insurance for you.
Absolutely. It's the test covers coliform bacteria, E. coli, and then we'll also the test will also analyze for nitrates and nitrite. So.
Well, we're going to take Don has to be in Peoria here in about 55 minutes, so we're going to take a quick commercial break and excuse Don, and thank you very much for being with us this morning, sir.
Well, thank you for having me.
Kind of an abbreviated program, but we have to do that in order to accommodate your schedule. Drive carefully going over there.
Well, it's been a pleasure being with you this morning, and thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you
for coming, Don.
Thank you.